Hello folks, Wolfman here bringing another nerdy video. Today we're continuing my Magic the Gathering series, where I talk about all things Magic the Gathering, especially in relation to the latest new set in Ravnica. Now, if you missed the broadcast yesterday, the video is being uploaded today. It is currently uploaded onto YouTube. And this video will be uploaded tomorrow, along with so that way you can watch it, and then I'll be putting them into a playlist together. Now, folks, we're starting with Zendikar because to my knowledge and to my memory, this is the first of the settings of the PDFs that did start the plane shift. Now, what you need to know about Zendikar is a really unique place. All 5 magics are abundant here, and the magic infusing the area has led to the rocks and the parts of the land to start floating into the sky. So there's a large collection of sky islands basically to explore. Now, these plane shift PDFs, there's one thing I should know, that these are not proper setting books. These are tips on how to run the game in sort of a Magic the Gathering sort of setting. Mostly it's up to the players and the DM to basically fill the world. Now, there are bestiaries, there are races, they did include that, and there are tips on how to make the classes planewalkers and all that. But in terms of adventures, it's wildly up to the DM. With the campaign setting, we don't know if we're going to be getting any sort of like, oh, here's an adventure for you to run. We don't know that. We got one for Zillion. We got one adventure for Zillion. But that'll be like the last video I cover. I'm going to be trying to cover these in as much of an order as I can. But now, it does give you some tips on what type of adventures you can run. Now, there are many different things that could draw the players or planeswalkers to Zendikar. It has so much rich ruins and lore that, like, sages, merchants, retired adventurers, they could all hire the planeswalkers to go to Zendikar because, again, planeswalking's been a thing for a while. It's rare, so if a merchant or sage who had knowledge of who got a tome that talked about like a journal of a planeswalker, and he was like, oh wow, so this place of Zendikar is really interesting. He discovers the players are planeswalkers. Maybe he gets wind of them. He then could hire them to go to Zendikar and go to these ruins that's read about in his journal and to get the riches. You know? That's one reason why they can go. There's also the fact that there's several other reasons. Now, some of the reasons are late game. So I would recommend you save them for late game or end campaign sort of scenario. But there's even like a demonic planeswalker known as Ob Nixilis. You can do stuff with him. Like, there's a lot you can do. There's something with the vampires. Yes, Zendikar has its own unique type of vampires, which I talked about yesterday. When I was talking about how the Ravnica set may include the races from the other plane shifts. I doubt it will, because it has to cover its own races. But who knows? That may be the case where it may include like a little sign of, oh, here's some races from other planes. But there's so much you can do. Like, it's amazing. Like, Zendikar is just filled with ruins, and this even talks about pre-Aldrizi ruins, which we'll get into the Aldrizi at a point. But like, it might, how should I find, like, there's just so much with the ruins. You can hint at stuff to do with the vampires. You may, and then also like with the we'll say that for the end. But like, there's just so much stuff you can go. Like, there's several areas that went completely throughout the different areas, and they even give you mentions of sites that you can have the players visit. I'll give you 2 from each era. The Oil Ruin, the Singing City, the Eye of Ugnin, Tal Terig, the living spire, helix of Zoth. Like, basically, Zendikar is perfect for, like, just non-stop dungeon crawls, because there's so many ruins. Now, you don't have to do dungeon crawls. There are societies, there are civilization on Zendikar. Maybe your players can be hired to escort a wagon caravan, to point A to point B, because of the way the bandits are. They're worried because of orbiting rocks, and bandits could be hanging on to them with rope ready to dive bomb onto the bandits. There's plenty of environmental threats. There, maybe the players get involved in the sort of vampire civil war that's going on. And then we're going to get into that later on. Now, there are multitude. There are human species. The humans are the most numerous, diverse, and hold on, let me just shift this camera a little bit. There we go. I'm going to be reading from the PDF that I have here. The humans are the most numerous, diverse, and adaptable folk of Zendikar, and they form the core of most exploratory and adventurous expeditions across the plain. Though many humans huddle behind stone walls and wooden ramparts, at least somewhat protected from the powers of Zendikar, a significant number venture out from the safety of these walls to explore and defend their world. As the Eldrazi spread, more and more humans are driven from their refuge and forced to confront the harsh reality of that alien threat. Now, we'll get into the Eldrazi in a moment, folks. Okay. Now, okay. Now, there are civilized humans. Despite the harshness of life of Zendikar, human civilization flourishes with a few scattered towns. Seagate on the continent of Tazim, Alpha Town on Akum, and the so-called Free City of Niman in Guldrez are the most notable of these, boasting organized military forces, institutions of learning. It's hard to read with this mesh. Boasting established traditions of magic, houses of worship, and dark underbellies of crime and corruption. Now, there's expeditionary houses, but they list a few, so that way you can end up having these houses be the ones hiring the players to go out and explore. Now, the humans in the human character has the traits described for humans in the player's handbook. Your ability scores each increase by 1. You do not get the variant human. Now, they added an extra bit into the language. You can speak, read, and write Common and one actual language of your choice. Humans typically learn the language of other peoples they deal with, including obscure dialects. They are fond of sprinkling their speech with words borrowed from the other tongues, vampire curses, elvish musical expressions, merfolk scholarly jargon, and so on. Now, again, that's just a hint at some of the other races that are on Zendikar. Now, here's a unique race. I find them a bit interesting. The core. And now, like, a lot of their pictures are really cool. Now, I'm going to actually go into proper... I skipped over a lot of detail with the humans, because we're used to talking about humans. Like, they're very much the stereotypical everywhere. But the core are... When it comes to these other races, I'm going to go into a lot more depth. And also, you'll see... Once we get onto other plane shifts, you will realize why I skipped over a fair portion of the humans. Pardon me. Deeply reverent of the land and its sacred sites, the nomadic core live a sparse existence defined by their constant travels. Masters of ropes and hooks, they scale sheer cliffs and cross yawning chasms with such skill and agility that they sometimes seem almost to take flight. Core are associated with white mana, and their wizards and clerics employ spells of healing, of banishing the dark, and of protection. Their personalities and ideals also mesh with these characteristics of white mana, in their emphasis on the ordered, harmonious community with strong traditions binding its members together. Now, see, again, this is another thing. They do now. Another plane shift actually goes into more detail on how mana works in terms of personality. But generally, white mana is all about order and peace. Now, don't get me wrong, like there's no evil mana. Black could be considered, but so could red. And in some cases, even blue and the white mana can be associated with evil, and so can green. So again, it's a wide spectrum, like the alignments are. They don't perfectly correlate to an alignment. In somewhat cases they do, and again, there is a book there is a plane shift that does go into more detail. This book, I'm afraid, does this actually go on? So this is one of their earlier ones. Yeah, it doesn't really actually artificial construct elementals. Yeah, in their bestiary they only really talk about Tatsu. So yeah, this PDF really only talks about the races and the races that live there, both player and NPC and the like. So we're not going to get a lot of here's how you do it. One book, like you need. So basically, in order to play a proper campaign, you need to actually collect all the PDFs. Now, hopefully, Ravnica will lesser that need, but then again, the PDFs are for free, and they were free downloads, so you should really be able to get them. Okay, slender and silent is one of the key things here that describes the core. Core are tall, slender humanoids with light hair and grey, blue, blue-grey, and ivory skin. Okay, that's a very wide spectrum. All core have slightly pointed ears, and males have short, fleshy barbels on their chin. Okay, I will try and provide. I'll probably try and get a thumbnail for YouTube of a core for this. Actually, no, then again, there are other races. Never mind. They paint softly glowing geometric patterns on their faces and bodies, suggestive of the shapes and designs of the Hindra that appear across Zendikar. Their clothing tends to leave their arms and shoulders free to facilitate climbing, and they keep most of their gear in pouches and slings at their waists. The core have a non-verbal language of hand signs and gestures that allows communication despite significant distance, particularly when augmented with whirling whoops and howling winds. They also use this sign language among themselves when they wish to avoid being overheard. Giving rise to the misguided rumors that they are incapable of speech, when they do speak, they typically use a few words as possible to convey their meaning. So they're a race of few words, and again, because of this, it has led to their ideology. And again, these are nomadic people. They're used to having to, send up hooks, climb, and all that. They're used to having to traverse, flying mountains and the like. So, so obviously, they're going to deal with howling winds going through them. So obviously, they would have been like, okay, we need to find some way of talking. But here are their core traits. The core are athletic climbers known for their use of rope to swing and climb through the dizzying vertical terrain of Zendikar. Your core character has these traits. Your ability score increases dexterity increases by 2 and your wisdom by 1. They mature and live for the same amount of time as a human. They generally tend to be lawful good with a strong dedication to community and the traditions of their ancestors. They average nearly 6 feet tall, but are much lighter and more slender than humans. So even though they tend to be a lot taller often very much taller than humans, they still generally are more slender, and they're built so that they can easily climb, so they don't have to carry all that weight. Now, you have a base walking speed of 30 feet, but here's the thing, you also get a climbing speed of 30 feet as long as you are not encumbered or wearing heavy armor. So as long as you're avoiding those two things, you have a climb speed. Now, you also have proficiency in athletics and acrobatic skills in the form of core climbing. You get when you roll a 1 or on a d20 for an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll the die and you must use the new die, so they get lucky. They have advantage on saving throws against being frightened, because again, they're used to having to possibly jump off of buildings, throw a hook, latch on, and then swing to safety. So they're used to basically taking leaps of faith and looking dead in the face. Now, you can speak, read, and write in common, and you can communicate in the silent speech of the core. Now, given their ideology, this suggests that the core do not teach their language to anyone, similar to, I believe it was the halflings, and in terms of writing their language. Now, here's something interesting: the merfolk, which is a bit humorous considering I may end up using these guys in an upcoming adventure in one of my games. Now, the blue folk are also going to be probably leaned more towards blue mana. Curious and thoughtful and analytical, the merfolk of Zendikar are natural scholars and explorers. In the past, merfolk society, hold on folks, my nose is so itchy. Oh, sorry. I think this still has some pollen and all that from when I was at a party. Oh, okay. In the past, Merfolk society was organized around their belief in 3 deities, but in the wake of the reappearance of the Eldrazi, the Merfolk have realized that their faith was a web of lies, built on a corrupted memory of the Eldrazi titans handed down from generation to generation. In peaceful times, the merfolk have fought over the ultimate meaning of this revelation, but faced with the danger presented by the Eldrazi broods, the merfolk have largely set aside their differences and joined together in a united force. Old grudges still linger, but the well-being of the merfolk race and the world far outweigh any ancient conflicts between the creeds. Sorry folks again. Oh, I honestly have no idea what is this last. My nose normally doesn't get bothered after I take my medicine. Merfolk are associated with blue mana, though traditional merfolk create expects this connection in different ways. So that's what I'm referring to. Just because they're aligned with blue mana does not mean that they are going to be good. Blue mana can mean a lot of different things. Hell, green mana generally means growth, but there's a druid elf in Magic the Gathering who believes all elves should rule the entirety of the multiverse. And she will see it happen. So there you go, folks. Green mana is being used for evil. Merfolk are an amphibious race born and a home in the water, but comfortably on dry land. Humanoids in form, they have skin of ivory, silver, russet blue, or deep purple. Long fins extend from the backs of their forearms and calves, and their fingers and toes are webbed. The hair-like growths on their heads are either thick or bristly, like the needles of a sea urchin, or long and wavy, resembling fine seaweed. In either case, these growths typically range in colour from red to a warm brown to black. Male merfolk have similar growths extending down from their cheekbones, so around here, I hate to say it, but the way it goes from here, starting from the side of the chin all the way up to even here, it makes one of these images look like he has sideburns of tentacles. Merfolk wear little clothing unless they are armoured for battle. Even then, they drape themselves with net and minimum of cloth, wearing armour crafted of large bleached seashells and augmented leather. Okay, there are actually several traits. Now again, there are sub-races to the merfolks, so let's get into it. Your charisma score increases by 1. Merfolk age at the same rate as humans do, and they reach adulthood at around the age of 20. They live considerably longer than humans, though often reaching well over 100 years. So again, I hate when wizards use this terminology. They go well over, but then in some things they go, oh yeah, it's just like an extra 25 years. No, just no. For me, I would put around 100 to 200. Give them an extra century. Alignment. Most merfolk are neutral, though merfolk of the enemy and cozy creeds have chaotic leanings. See, that's what I was referring to. Speed. Your walking speed is 30 feet, and you have a swim speed. Amphibious. You can breathe in air and water. You can speak, read, and write Common, Merfolk, and one extra language of your choice. Again, that's because Merfolk are generally scholars and explorers. Creeds. Now, there's 3 distinct creeds, and each one is they're sort of summed up by 3 creeds founded on the principles of Emira, Wind, Upla, War, and Kosai, the Trickster. So these are the gods. A merfolk isn't born into a creed, but chooses it upon reaching adulthood, and it is rare for a merfolk not to choose a creed. Merfolk of the Wind Water creeds aren't hostile to each other, but members of each creed regard the other creed with a vague disdain. Members of both these creeds regard the Kosai creed with suspicion and some degree of fear, and the Kosai creed adherents tend to keep their affiliation secret. Choose one of these creeds for your character. So the Kosai creed is often not exact. It's often suspicious. They don't trust them too much. But okay, Emira, Wind creed. Merfolk who followed Emira's creed seek wisdom, truth in the wind realm, exploring the mystical forces rather than the natural causes. Behind historical events, they are evasive